All right, gang. Hey, Josh Johnson here. We are talking all about Francine and how and where and when it is going to impact you where it is now. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, in fact. So, as they say, buckle up, buttercup. We're going to dive into all of this. First things first, I would ask you, if you could, to give this a share. As always, we like to try to reach the maximum audience possible. So that would be something that would be most appreciated. I am your friendly host, Josh Johnson, here on a busy Wednesday night. It's now 10:59 p.m. So if you're watching this later, you're watching it later. That happens sometimes. Okay, so a lot to dive into here. We've got now Tropical Storm Francine moving across South Louisiana. It is going to keep moving north, east, and then eventually curve back to the north as the night unfolds. That's going to set us up for some heavy weather, some heavy rain, and potentially a low-end tornado threat. No, I do not think it's going to be some big outbreak of tornadoes. I do think there could be a few tornadoes across the state in a couple of different windows here, so to speak. And potentially a low-end tornado threat. No, I do not think it's... That's not what I want. So, pardon me, I'm trying to multitask, and as you can hear, it's not going exceptionally well. So, let's dive into the maps here. So, we've got a lot going on. You know that already. We have, of course, down in the tropics, now inland, we've got our pal Francine moving in across South Mississippi. It is getting pushed towards the northeast by some pretty stout wind shear. Let me show you that. So there's the satellite presentation of Francine. Now, interestingly, you would look at this and think the center of it is like at Mobile Bay or something, right? But it's really not. The center of circulation is actually over here, northwest of downtown New Orleans. So that's that wind shear. These really strong winds coming in from the southwest are blowing the storm tops out and away from the top of Francine. So the center is actually back here, back over again, southeastern Louisiana. Latest track in from the National Hurricane Center. It is again northwest of downtown New Orleans, now on the west side of Lake Pontchartrain. Movement is north-northeast. This will end up curving back north. I still think it goes east of Jackson. That's been our thinking with this all along, is this is going to go east of Jackson, Mississippi, and then from there zip on towards Memphis, make a turn back almost towards the northwest, and then eventually die out. So on that track, what happens here? Well, this is the latest run of the high-res rapid refresh model. Watch it with me, and you'll notice a couple of different things happen here, right? So first thing we've got to keep our eye on is late tonight down here in far southwest Alabama. I'm talking Monroe, Conecuh, Escambia, Mobile, Baldwin, Washington, Clark primarily. Some of these storms would be capable of rotating in that 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. time frame. So that's something we've got to keep an eye on. Is Southwest Alabama isolated tornado threat now to 7 a.m. Then we get into what happens after 7 a.m. So we're also going to have to keep an eye on that because this whole thing gets pulled north as the night unfolds. So I'll show you that. We get into some tornado issues potentially into more of central Alabama. So watch with me. So that initial wave, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m., most of the threat there stays over the Florida Panhandle, but some of it will spill over into some of those far southwestern counties. Then we get a little bit of a lull, perhaps. So you'll notice the rain shield breaks up. Let me point this out, and I'm going to preemptively tell you there are going to be people who are very mean and angry about the fact that it doesn't rain all day on Thursday. So let me tell you right now, way ahead of time, it is not going to rain all day Thursday. There are going to be vast stretches of Thursday where the weather is fine, where the weather is dry, where life is good. The problem is there are also going to be some clusters of storms that come through that potentially produce isolated tornadoes. So it's not going to rain and storm all day. There will be intervals of wet weather. There will be intervals of dry weather. is the only real way to put this. Okay, so with that in mind, back to the map. So this is now valid at 11 a.m. And notice you've got this cluster of thunderstorms. At this point, the center is up here near Philadelphia, Mississippi. Cluster of storms that extends back from Tuscaloosa back down towards Florala. Within that, as the sun comes up and we get a little intensification, there's the window here where some of this could produce a brief tornado. The most likely time frame from this would be about 10 a.m. through about 6 p.m. Here you see 3 in the afternoon. I'll click and we'll do a little evaluation of the atmosphere at this point in time. So right here you have a ton of wind shear. It's 77, so it's warm. It's humid. You may have too much wind shear, right? That's a thing that can happen. You can have too much wind shear. So this could potentially be one of those scenarios where you have too much wind shear. That can sort of shear the tops off of these thunderstorms before they can produce a tornado. That is something, again, that can and does occasionally occur. Then you get into the rest of the afternoon and the rest of the evening. So this is, again, valid at 3 o'clock. Here's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Now, by 6, a lot of this moves east of Montgomery. And the other thing that starts to happen is the wind fields start to relax by this point in time. So at 6 o'clock, when we click in here to do our evaluation, the wind fields are not quite as strong as they were even a couple of hours prior. And that's a trend that then intensifies. Yes, there will be lingering storms by 10, 11 p.m., but by that point in time, the wind fields have really weakened considerably. So as a result, your corresponding tornado chance really goes down quite a bit there because of that decrease in the wind fields aloft, especially. So that's the story with this. It is not going to rain all day Thursday. There will be a cluster of thunderstorms that pushes from west to east across the state between 10 in the morning and about 6 in the evening. It will produce tropical downpours, heavy rain, some gusty wind up as high as 35 miles an hour. And a brief tornado or two is not impossible in this sort of scenario. That's it. That's the story. That's really as far as this whole thing goes. Now, the other interesting question is what happens when we get into Friday. There's some indication here in the data that we have leftover storms that kind of linger. But again, by Friday, we'll do another little storm analysis here. By Friday, the wind fields have really decreased. I mean, your winds up at 500 millibars, so that's tens of thousands of feet above the ground, are blowing at about 35 miles per hour. That is completely low and probably not sufficient for a tornado. So personally, I'm not worked up about a tornado threat on Friday. I think it really sort of fades away by then. So that's where we are. I will open the floor to questions if you have questions. Now, the question we won't really dive into here, quite frankly, is the whatabouts. What about Slapout? What about Reeltown? What about Tallahassee? What about Tuskegee? The whatabouts. Because everything I just said is valid for everyone, right? There's a tornado threat in the far southwestern counties through 7 a.m. Then from about 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow, there's a tornado threat that involves the entire southern two-thirds of the state. Let me show you that map while we're getting ready to answer some of these questions. It's extensive, right? So we've got a day 2 outlook here, and I'll make this big so it's easy to see. This is straight from the Storm Prediction Center, and look, yeah, it's the whole state. The dark green is a level 1 risk. The yellow is a level 2 risk. For almost all of our area, it's a level 2. That's the bag right there. So there we are. Any questions, as always, fire away, either on YouTube or on Facebook. We're streaming this live on both. So that's what we know and what we think about Francine at this moment in time. Now a tropical storm. So let's go over to Facebook. Don't see any questions on the YouTube. Let's head over to the Book of Faces and see if we have any questions there. If we don't, I'll keep popping in and out looking for questions. If we don't have any, though, what I'll probably do is start to... it says 12 comments. There has to be more than that. There's usually quite a few. If there's only 12, I'll take that to mean I did such a good job briefing you guys that there are no questions. We all know better than that, don't we? Dana, you are probably not getting out of school early tomorrow. My condolences on that. L. Dudley says, you mean to tell me the almighty Josh Johnson can't tell us where and if a tornado will touch down? Not this far in advance, one. Two, there's nothing almighty about me other than maybe my love for Diet Sunkist. Now Sunkist Zero. We decided we couldn't call it Diet Sunkist anymore. They rebranded as Sunkist Zero. And man, as I watch this, I really need a haircut. I hope the ladies that handle my unruly hair are not watching this. So they will be cross with me, as my friend Will says. Josh, did the dry air that wrapped in the storm help individualize the supercell possibility with low-top supercells for tomorrow? Yes. Yeah, it actually did. That is a really informed question, Jack. Jack, are you a meteorologist? Jack is studying meteorology at Mississippi State. Jack, we have an opening right now. When can you start? I am only halfway joking, Jack. If you graduate anytime soon, DM me, and boy, do I have a job for you. Yes, it does. When there's dry air entrained like this, it does help almost emulate like a dry line that happens during the spring and summer severe weather seasons in the southern plains, in that it allows the storms to be more discrete. Now, our problem with this setup, and really it's a saving grace, not a problem, but from a tornado production standpoint, the problem is really more the best wind shear and the best instability either don't overlap at all or overlap only briefly and in a small area, depending on which computer you believe, right? So that's really the shortcoming in this tornado setup. If that were to change, then the tornado risk is going to go up. But that's how we see it now, is that it really looks like the best wind fields go north before the best instability ramps up. Haley asking about time frame. Yes, I'll run that back again in just a moment. Will the wind be a factor tomorrow? The wind will be, what the phrase I've used, the wind will be a nuisance, not destructive, right? You're going to notice it's breezy tomorrow. You're not going to see trees flying through the air. You're not going to see roofs flying off. You're not going to see those things from hurricane-related winds. Now, if we have a tornado, all bets are off, but you're not going to see power outages on a widespread basis from the wind associated directly with the hurricane. Now the tropical storm. What you could see is trees flapping in the wind, your trash can blows over, your pool floats blow around, your patio furniture blows around, things like that. What does Friday night look like? Scattered showers and storms, I think, still around. So those high school football games, you'll want to bring up some rain gear for that. Tornado risk for Montgomery County, it's a level 2 out of 5 between 10 and 6. 10 a.m. tomorrow through 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Could extend a little past 6 p.m. I need to see more data before I change the forecast. Major wind will be coming out of which direction? There's really not a major wind in this pattern summer. If we had any wind, it will primarily be coming out of the south and southeast, wrapping into the storm. So Amanda on YouTube says thank you. Justin on YouTube, watching from Greenville. Bama Batman, that's a cool name, says hello. And Caleb Hammett says hello as well, all on the YouTube. If you're not on my YouTube channel, I encourage you to check that out. Just search Josh Weather, Josh Johnson, WSFA, however you want to find me on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos over there, lots of different categories and fun stuff. L. Dudley, good night. L. Dudley says bedtime. L. Dudley, we salute you. When will this rain be out of here? So what will happen is it will just sort of slowly decrease each day, right? So most of us, almost all of us, will have some rain tomorrow. Smaller rain chance on Friday, but still some scattered storms around, right? Around a 40-50% coverage Friday, probably 20 to 30% on Saturday, probably 20% or so on Sunday and Monday. And then most of next week, we just sort of get back into a more classic summertime pattern. Late summer, we're not talking 90s. We're good on that front for at least a while. But we're scattered afternoon storms, highs in the 80s kind of thing. Pike County, Brundage area for severe weather. Yeah, you got a chance. 10A to 6P tomorrow, isolated tornadoes. How's Andalusia looking? Scattered thunderstorms. It's rainy tonight, scattered storms. We'll keep an eye on you tonight and tomorrow. It's not something where it's going to storm all day or all night. There is a low-end tornado threat, particularly tomorrow. What is the address so we can send you some Diet Sunkiss? That's funny. Our address is 445 Dexter Avenue, Suite 7000, Montgomery, Alabama. We're in the RSA Judicial Building, in case you didn't know. Debbie says JJ is the best. Thanks for the update. Debbie, I say you are the best. I salute you. Good night. Kayla says, what is the rain chance for Georgia on Saturday? Pretty good. Scattered storms around. It's not going to rain everywhere. It won't rain all day. Just joining, is there a chance of tornadoes overnight for Dale County? No, your tornado threat is exclusively during the day tomorrow, in my opinion. Someone asked about the hour by hour. So I'm going to make their dreams come true real quick. There you have it. All right, so here's our, this is the high-res rapid refresh, the evening run. It rains a lot overnight. It's light to moderate rain. Then some heavy rain moves into southwestern and west central Alabama after midnight. It rains and pours over there. Now, at this point in time, there are some storms that would bear watching from a tornado perspective. Mobile, Baldwin, Washington, Choctaw, Clark, Monroe, Conecuh, Escambia, Covington are really the counties that have my concern. Because notice a lot of the red here stays over the Florida Panhandle. That's because there's really a lack of surface-based instability into Alabama. But again, you can't put too fine a point on this sort of thing. What I like to do is just sort of lead it and say, okay, it looks like the main threat is in the Florida Panhandle, but just sort of out of an abundance of caution, pay attention in far south and southwest Alabama as well. Then the sun comes up Thursday. Initially, there's a little lull, but then by late morning and midday, a new corridor of storms forms and lifts north and northeast. These storms would be also capable of producing isolated tornadoes. The main time frame of concern for those comes from about 10 in the morning through about 6 in the evening. So there's the time frame. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Okay, more questions. Millbrook, Selma, we just answered 10A to 6P. Diet Sunkiss is my favorite soda. Pat, I'm glad to hear of someone with such excellent taste. How about Elba Enterprise? Same thing. For you, the main risk would come 10A to 6P tomorrow. Just getting in. How's Butler Crenshaw? Severe threat. Low-end threat tonight after midnight. It's really low there, though. The primary concern for you would probably be tomorrow morning through about lunchtime. So, Donnie, is it Donnie or Danye? Watching from Austin, Texas, worried about a kiddo at Tuskegee. What's it looking like for them? On and off rain all night tonight, and then stormy tomorrow into the afternoon and early evening. Again, I think for Tuskegee, it's probably, I'd call it noon to 5, noon to 6, somewhere in there. So afternoon into early evening. Millbrook for tornado threat, level 2 risk, 10A to 6P. I need to travel to Moody tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. I need a stormy weather outlook. You'll probably run into some rain and rumbles going up I-65 at that point in time. I think it would probably be pretty wet. How about Enterprise Elba? We just discussed that. Jack says, I have 2 years left. One of my professors is a friend of yours, Greg Nordstrom. Greg is a dear friend of mine. Greg is the family that you choose, right? Those kind of friends, you know what I'm talking about? You got friends, you got acquaintances, and then you have the family that you get to pick, and that's Greg. Greg is an instructor, a professor at Mississippi State in the distance learning program. So always good to catch up with him. I talked with him a little earlier this evening, in fact, about, Greg is a prolific hurricane chaser, one of the best anywhere. And so I was able to catch up with him a little bit. Greg and I go way back, way back. So the waterabouts have begun. What about Dadeville tomorrow? Prattville. What about Beauregard? How about Montgomery? What about Birmingham? Here come the waterabouts. Again, let me just start from the top. Low-end threat of tornadoes in the far southwestern corner of the state through 7 a.m. Everywhere else in Alabama, and I mean everywhere, Muscle Shoals to Dothan, Fort Payne to Fairhope. Every inch of Alabama. Tornado threat around 10 a.m. through about 6 p.m. tomorrow. Those times could slide back and forth. They're not gospel. But you need to be weather aware in that time frame. Everywhere. Montgomery, Millbrook, Prattville, Slapout, Aniana, Smut-Eye, Pigfoot, Hogfoot, Bumfoot, plantar fasciitis foot, all the foots. Everybody. Whole state of Alabama, north, south, east, west. That's it. That's really all I got. I promise. My friend James Paul Dice has a great phrase for this when this happens. He says, "This is not a butcher shop. We don't hide the good stuff in the back. We tell you everything we know and what we don't know." So hopefully that'll get us going with the water bouts. Total amount of possible rain for the Del Reyta area. I think for you, probably 1 to 2 inches is a pretty good bet. Let's do this. We'll go into the model here that I've been showing you, the hour by hour. It has a total rainfall function where it will plot all that. So there you go. It again suggests, look, and look, this will be one of those scenarios where some people are going to be really happy with the amount of rain they get and some people are not. This is one of those where your neighbor gets a ½ inch and you get 4 inches, right? So there you go. Will these tornadoes be the no-notice variety, or will the radar be able to spot them? Stephen, great question. Tropical tornadoes form very quickly, often between radar scans. So it will come down to dumb luck in terms of when it scans and when the tornado forms. So you need to stay weather aware tomorrow. Some of this is going to fall on you, more of it than I like for to fall on you. But some of this will fall on you in that you will need to, look outside, listen, right? Like if you hear a roaring sound, if you see a low-hanging cloud, if you hear things starting to hit your house, don't go outside and look once that's already happened. Go to that safe place very quickly, because these tornadoes tomorrow will form very quickly. And there will be some of these, if we have tornadoes that form tomorrow, some of them could form with no warning. So again, a lot of this will come down to your own sort of keep an eye and ear open, safely doing so, of course. It's coming down in Gulf Shores and the wind gusts are insane. Glinda, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's a rocking and rolling. Haley says even pineapple. Ain't that right, Josh? Yes, it is. Pine Hill, pineapple, you name it. All of them. Justin asked, do you have the winning Mega Million winning number? If I did, do you think I would be sitting at this TV station all night? I probably still would. I really do like you guys. I really do try to provide a helpful and useful service that helps you make good decisions when it comes to weather and keep you and your family safe. So honestly, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd probably still be here doing the same thing. My kids won't be going to school tomorrow. They should. It's just one man's opinion. Our kids are going to school tomorrow. I'll put it that way. They're in a safe space, man. Schools are really a great place for kids to be when there's bad weather. Do you know about Eufaula, Alabama? In fact, I do. Yes, I do know about Eufaula. I've even been there a few times. Went to the pilgrimage. I've spoken at schools there. I spoke at a retirement home there, retirement community. So I do know about Eufaula. Lovely city. Phil's Barbecue, a favorite of mine. I hear they have an awesome donut place there. So yeah, I know all about Eufaula. That's going to be my new answer. That's going to be hilarious and a lot of fun. When someone asks what about something, I'm just going to name things about that city. I'm not going to actually repeat myself about the weather again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I'm just going to say, yeah, I know about that. How about Opelika, Alabama? Gavin, Opelika is a wonderful railroad town located in Lee County in East Alabama. It is kind of a sister city of Auburn. My favorite places to eat in Opelika are Chuck's, really like that, and Niffers. I think Niffers is technically Opelika. It's right there between the two, but right there off the main drag there. So those are the two I like there. Sonia asked about Greenville. Greenville, great place too. They have this great place down in Greenville that's called like the Big Potato Company or something. They make these baked potatoes that are like the size of your head. They're huge. Really awesome food. Randomly stopped at a Mexican restaurant there in Greenville one time. Super awesome food there too. So yes, I know about Greenville. What about Brookhaven, Mississippi? Don't have a lot of experience there. I know Jimmy Johns, who played football at Alabama, was from Brookhaven. Yeah, hey, Kelly, look, hey, what's safe for you is safe for you, right? I don't try to tell people what to do with their kids. If you ask, I will. And if you're there with them and you live in a good, sturdy home, that's great. Most kids aren't in that situation. In Alabama, we have a massive number of children who live in manufactured mobile homes. and or their parents are at work. So for most people, school's the safer bet, but not for everyone, right? Which areas are you more concerned about around 7 to have a tornado more than likely live in Troy? If I knew if and where a tornado was going to form 8 hours in advance, I would be in that city, banging on doors, calling people, telling them there's a tornado coming. We don't know, is the honest answer. A 7, I'm assuming you mean tomorrow morning. The main concern there would be far south Alabama, and it's a low concern, right? So, what about Montgomery? Montgomery is Alabama's capital city. Fun fact about Montgomery, the city of Montgomery and the county of Montgomery are named for 2 separate people, not the same guy. You would think it would be the same person, right? But it's not. Union Springs, love Union Springs. They've got a thing over there. They're big on like the training dogs. What's it called? Field trials, I think, with the dogs. They do a lot of that. When should we see the worst part of it in Selma? I would say late morning through about lunchtime, 10A to 2P, somewhere in there. What's going on in Mobile right now? Any warnings? No, actually, there's not. But since you asked nicely, and with an intelligent question, I'll show you. Here's radar. So this stuff coming on shore right now, it's going to have a lot of wind with it. So these thunderstorms down here, that will mix down a lot of the strong wind that happens up at the cloud level. Storms do that during tropical systems. So Mobile, the worst of it is still yet to come. Expect tropical downpours on and off for the next 6 to 8 hours with sustained winds up around 40 to 50 miles an hour, maybe higher gust. Power outages will be an issue as well. So that's the story about Mobile. Good question. So for everyone else, again, the roads will be safe, Rob. Tomorrow morning it will be wet and windy, so drive safely. But the roads, I'm not super concerned about road conditions tomorrow morning in most of our area. What time will this weather be out of red level? Probably mid-afternoon, somewhere in there. I'll be able to give you that answer tomorrow. Check the Facebook page. Check YouTube again tomorrow. Hank and Audrey Williams got married in Andalusia to add to your fun fact list. That is a fun fact. I really appreciate that. That is a really good fun fact. Sorry, I'm multitasking here. Always something going on. Okay, so questions. Who is Montgomery named after? Well, I'm glad you asked. The city is named after Richard Montgomery. Richard Montgomery was a major general in the American Revolution, right? So Major General Richard Montgomery. He lost his life in the Battle of Quebec, which that's one of my weird memories. I remember in 4th grade reading a fascinating book about the Battle of Quebec and how there were various levels of this, they were going through this fort and it was snowing and there were different levels of it. They were fighting back and forth. I just remembered that. It was really wild. So that is Montgomery City. Now, the county of Montgomery is named after Lemuel Montgomery. He was an officer in the United States Army who was killed at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend up in Tallapoosa County in 1814. So they named Montgomery County after him. So Richard Montgomery is the city and Lemuel Montgomery is the county. The more you know. How about Prattville? Prattville's a fine city, Arlene. I live in Prattville, actually. Great spot. Okay, jokes aside, look, the what about questions, they don't make a lot of, we're not going to be able to really dive into that because the answer's the same everywhere, right? Tornado threat begins in southwest Alabama through 7 a.m., and then for the entire rest of the state, it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It could last a little past 6, especially northeast of Montgomery, but it's 10 a to 6 p for everywhere. It will not rain that entire time. Most of Thursday's dry is the really ironic part to this. There's scattered light rain in the morning. A lot of the afternoon's dry. The sun could even come out. I hope it doesn't. That would make things worse, but that's where we are, 10 a to 6 p. Mary Grace asked, teach 4th grade, what's the name of the novel? I have wondered that for years, Mary Grace. I've even Googled it trying to find it, and I cannot find it. I don't know what the name of it is. I just remember reading it, and it was very descriptive and very vivid about, it was snowing and the battle and blood run on the snow and the red coats, the muskets, and all that jazz. So that's what it is. I'm really not typing that loud. The microphone for this broadcast is my phone, which is right here, sitting, literally like 2 inches in front of the keyboard. So my apologies. It probably does sound like like hailstones hitting a tin roof there. So Emily and Christy, I apologize for the volume on the keyboards. Any news of schools will be closed in Montgomery County? I doubt it. I really do. I doubt it. Do you go to school in Montgomery? Your profile picture, you look like a young person. You better go to bed, brother. It's 11:29 p.m. Who else is there with you tonight, Amanda or Nick? No, right now I'm flying solo. We're short-staffed. Tyler left. We promoted Nick to Tyler's position doing weekday mornings. Amanda will be in tomorrow. Nick will be in about 3.5, 4 hours. So what's about to happen here is there's no active storms right now in our part of the state, and there probably won't be for another few hours. So I'm probably going to go in the back office and snag a little nap, because here's my day. I got here today. I took my wife and some friends to lunch, some work friends to lunch. We ran an errand or two. I got in around 1:45. I went home for dinner break from about 6:30 to 7:45. Then I came back, and now I am here until probably around 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So you want to be a meteorologist. Don't do it for the sleep. You're barking up the wrong tree. How's New Orleans making out? So far, so good. In fact, let's do this. This will be kind of interesting. We can actually dip into some New Orleans coverage. Our company owns a station there. Let's watch.
Watching a lot of those.
We can actually dip
a lot of the
into
water here
some
on
New Orleans coverage.
Boulevard, West Esplanade. We've been seeing a lot of those canals along West Esplanade with water overtopping those canals. So that is definitely
Can you see it? Can you hear it?
concern out there as well with any businesses, with any homes. And, we've also been seeing, again.
And yes, tomorrow we will have a better hour by hour in the morning and throughout the night. And you can look at the hour by hour anytime on the First Alert Weather app free of charge.
And people out and about walking the streets, walking Williams Boulevard, checking on some of these businesses to see if anything's open. As you can see, it's pitch black out here. There's no reason for you to be out and about. Whatever supplies that will be available come sun up. If there is any sort of power in this area by that time. We haven't been seeing any sort of energy crews out and about in Metairie or in Kenner. The wind's still very much picking up. As I'm feeling it right now, I'm getting a real gust of breeze, and I'm pretty sure that means we're going to get a real gust of rain coming soon. But we're going to be keeping you guys updated on the situation here in Kenner. For now, reporting live, Andres Fuentes, Fox 8 Local.
I kind of feel like he forgot his lighting kit, right? Or maybe something may have blown over, right? That happens. That's Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, you're watching there. That is our sister kind of fellow gray station down there in Louisiana. That's Jefferson Parish. Lots of power outages in the state of Louisiana right now. In fact, I'll do this. I'll switch over to yet another source for this and walk you over to the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone. Ta-da! You see it a lot in bad weather. So, I wonder if I can. No, I can't. I was going to say it'd be really cool if I could make the camera zoom out a little bit here, but I really can't do that. So let's do this. We'll go into the National tab and do power outages by county. And there's a lot of them. Some in our area, oddly enough, those may not even be weather related. It's really not terrible yet. But since you asked about Louisiana, it's really tough down there right now. Some of these parishes in Louisiana have massive power outages. So 64,000 there. Back over in South Louisiana, the numbers there pretty staggering. 36,000, 4,500, 8,000. It adds up quick, right? These are humongous numbers, right? So I'll do this to kind of make it easier to see. If you just do it by state, I can query Louisiana and get a statewide number. Look at that, 360,000 people without power in the state of Louisiana right now. Now, you zoom that out, So far, most of Mississippi and Alabama doing okay, right? But that's probably, especially in Mississippi, that'll change. 7,000 without power in the state of Mississippi. In Alabama, it's 2,000. I'm gonna dive in and look at those in Alabama. That's strange. I would assume in our area those are probably pretty low numbers. 100, 200, and 200. So 500 people without power in Autauga and Elmore. That may not even be weather related. We haven't really had enough wind to do a lot yet with that. If it is, it may literally just be wrong place, wrong time, like a very weakened tree fell or something like that. So you'll notice in Alabama, the outages are almost exclusively in Mobile and Baldwin counties. So I'll just take you in there. Mobile County in there, 1,500. That's a huge chunk of them right there. 100 outages in Baldwin County, but those numbers are going to go up and way up pretty soon as all of that you see there rotates in. So that's the story there. It will get a lot worse before it gets better. So there's more of our New Orleans station coverage there. This again is WVUA Fox 8 in New Orleans. We'll kind of pop in and out there and show you what's happening around the Southeast. In fact, that's the one cool thing. There's lots of cool things, but that is a cool thing about working where I work is we actually have quite a few stations around. Here is, for instance, Baton Rouge. So we will listen in momentarily to our Baton Rouge station.
Heavy storm surge pounded parts of southern Louisiana as Francine came roaring ashore Wednesday night as a Category 2 hurricane. Restaurant
South
manager
Louisiana
Melinda
there.
Burton was among those preparing for the powerful storm.
Someone asked about lottery
we had
numbers
all the
earlier.
flaps up in the front of the building because anytime a storm comes, it blows really hard and we're scared it's going to break them.
As Francine inched closer to landfall,
All right, so this is in the news business, what's called a package. That's a story that was done earlier, so we'll pop out of that because we like to keep it all about the lives on here. So that's what we will do. Okay, so resetting, it's 11:36. This is a Facebook Live broadcast where we are talking about all things Francine. We'll take you back in. A couple of people telling me in the comments, by the way, there are some power outages. We do not... They are not weather related. Thanks, Amanda, for filling us in on that. Amanda Ivy. Appreciate you on that one. So in Alabama right now, they're pretty nice. Look, there's scattered rain around, but for a landfalling hurricane, it could be much, much worse than it is. Most of the rain right now tending to favor those western counties. So Casey's uncle wrote it out in Houma, Louisiana. Said it's really bad down there. I'm sure it is. Yeah, that's a tough place to be on a night like this. All right, I'm going to wind this thing down. I will do additional Facebook Lives later on tonight into tomorrow morning. I'll do more weather app videos. We'll update the website as well. Watch WSFA for updates on the website, WSFA.com. We will also be live tomorrow morning. Nick Gunner will lead us off at 4:30. I'm going to join him at 6 o'clock with some updates in there as well. So we will be able to keep you well ahead of everything, and we will get new updates throughout the night. We'll get a new tornado outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. I will post that to Facebook and put it on the First Alert Weather app as well, so we'll keep you well informed, I promise, as the night unfolds. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening. I hope you all take care. Stay weather aware on Thursday, and we will look forward to seeing you soon. We'll do another Facebook Live. Lauren asked for a quick recap or graphic timeline. Sure, I know a lot of people may be just parking it with us right before we wind down here. So let's go back to the hour by hour, and we'll walk you through the whole thing, as they say in Hamilton, one last time. Here you go. So that's the hour by hour, right? Right here. Let's do that. Okay, so this is what happens tonight. Scattered, mainly light rain continues. Now, late tonight after midnight, we'll watch southwest Alabama. And when I say southwest, I mean Mobile, Baldwin, Washington, Clark, Monroe, Conecuh, Escambia, Covington. That's the corridor we'll have to watch. North of there, up into Sunnyside and Wilcox County, this initial wave of storms stays south of you. It's wet and windy, but The storm threat is into South Alabama. Then tomorrow morning around 10 a.m., a new cluster of storms fills in. As drier air punches in from the west, that'll help create some discrete cells here. It'll take some time, but as the morning turns into the afternoon, these will intensify a bit due to the daytime heating. These could produce isolated tornadoes as they move through. The timing on these is 10 a.m. through 6 p.m. After 6, the wind fields begin to gradually weaken and the storms pivot out of the state and things will improve. It doesn't mean we dry out entirely, though. You'll notice even into Friday there are still leftover storms, but by that point, the main wind fields associated with Francine lift to the north, and the tornado risk is, if not zero, very near it by Friday. So the primary concern for tornadoes is through 7 a.m. in the far southwestern corner of the state, and then from 10 a.m. through 6 p.m. statewide, north to south, east to west, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday. After Thursday, we still have scattered storms, and it's still a little breezy, but Friday into the weekend, conditions will gradually improve and rain chances will diminish a little each day. So there you go. Hope that last recap was helpful. Again, hope you all have a wonderful evening, morning, all of it.